Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, another cool morning. Gonna be a cool day, it looks like. This evening into tomorrow, though, for those of you that are in kind of that southwest Missouri, northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, need to be kind of on alert. They're calling for some very heavy rain. There's already flood warnings out in those areas. And those areas, because of the hills and stuff, can definitely flood pretty easily. So be on the lookout for flash flood. I mean, it looks like it's that time of the year again. So, but tomorrow around here, they're calling for very cool temperatures. Probably won't see a whole lot of sun because of the weather. We'll get a little bit of rain, I guess, but it doesn't look like it'll be too much here. Also, I wanted to mention, the soap lady, Grafted in Grace Creations. The lady that I talk about all the time that makes the soap, she's a very dear friend of my wife and mine. She has teamed up with Zach Bauer at An American Homestead to make an exclusive soap for him. And I think it's really cool. I was a little bit a part of the process of coming up with this. I got to test it, got to throw in some ideas, but you should go over and check out the website and try to get some, because the cool thing is it's dill pickle soap. Not really dill pickle soap, but it's a new kind of twist. There's a guy's version and a girl's version, and I think it's kind of cool. Zach Bauer over at An American Homestead. Many of you know who that is. He's the guy that has the perfect pickler stuff that he sells and makes, where you can ferment all kinds of vegetables and stuff. And so now there's a soap representing that. It's kind of cool. I like to see. The whole Bible believing crowd and homesteaders and stuff kind of teaming up. And I think it's pretty cool. Some of you have met me, met Zach Bauer, met Sarah over at the Soap Lady. The fact is we're all just kind of common, regular people. We live all in the same region. And then there's others too. But I think it's really cool that they're doing that. She's done the same thing for us, made soap specifically, exclusively for us, same way as the t-shirts I'm wearing one right now. This is Sanctified Supply Company, also in our area and very good friends of ours. So, I think it's a good thing to support your community, and those people are all part of our community. So, I think that there's a new front in the proxy war with Russia and China opening up. A lot of what has happened in the respect of wars that's going on, whether wars that's already kind of ended, ongoing. In the end, and I've talked about this many times, you already get this, but in the end, they're just proxy wars. The wars between the United States and China. And with China, it's also Russia and Iran and North Korea and stuff. And it looks like maybe even now India and Pakistan. Pakistan always, but maybe India also. Basically BRICS. I mean, that's what it is. It's BRICS versus the United States, which is why I keep going back to, in the end, it's all about the money. Wars are always about money, folks. They're always financed by the same bankers so that they can make money. And right now we're in the process. We're in the middle, maybe, of a new world order centered around a new currency, and it's this battle between the U.S. dollar and BRICS or Chinese yuan or whatever it is, digital stuff, and so there's a new front that's being developed, and that's down in Venezuela, and I think it's definitely something to pay attention to and be a little concerned, because it's now in our hemisphere. It's getting closer to us, right? So in recent days, there have been numerous warships being sent down to the Venezuela area. There's some already there. There's more being sent, and then there's also a bunch more being sent down in the Caribbean. So they're close. They're kind of in a staging area where they can pretty rapidly deploy into Venezuela. And we're talking, destroyers, battleship type, ships, missile launch systems, just attack subs, several ships with Marines on them that are designed to be used to storm beaches. In other words, an invading force. Venezuela has been responding to that by calling up reserves and militia. They say they've got about 15,000 now staged along the border and along the coast to defend Venezuela against this. And we have been hearing from the Trump administration that this is all because of drug flow out of Venezuela. Now, of course, I don't deny that or disagree that there's drugs flowing out of Venezuela. I mean, I'm sure most of it's funded and controlled by our very own CIA. But Venezuela certainly isn't the only place that drugs are coming out of. That's just one of the places. Get out of here, bug. It just seems like a dramatic response for just drugs, right? Because, I mean, you know, honestly, right now, I mean, while there's still things like cocaine and other manufactured drugs in that way, one of the biggest problems in America is illegal pharmaceutical type drugs, stuff that's coming out of China, you know, fentanyl and things like that. Well, there's a little bit more to that story about Venezuela. Mark Rubio, the Secretary of State, has recently spoken about it. And number one, our government, which again, this is something I don't disagree with, but our government has stated that the leadership of Venezuela is illegitimate. They stole an election, they're illegitimate, it's communists, and it's not tolerated. But as more to that, he's also stated that Iran has several manufacturing facilities in Venezuela where they're making attack drones and potentially other weapons. Now, it's not clear, it seems, at least for our ears, of how much of those weapons that are being manufactured in Venezuela for Iran are staying in Venezuela to be used here or to be used against us. But that's always a possibility. China and Russia are very thick as thieves in Venezuela in regards to developing oil and other natural resources. And a lot of American dollars are going into Venezuela, basically, you know, in the oil industry, kind of making them a little bit more powerful. Venezuela, just to kind of give you a background, if you don't know, obviously over the last several years, basically starting back in around 2015 or 16, they went through a big economic collapse. And I think a lot of Americans right now think of Venezuela as a third world country because they became that. But before that, Venezuela was the second most powerful and most wealthy nation in the Western Hemisphere, and second most developed, even, you know, more than Canada. And so, while I'm not going to say that they've gotten back on their feet, they're definitely heading back to that direction, and now they're definitely more communist. So there is a threat there. I don't deny that. There's also a talk from our government that they are manufacturing fake but very real and high quality visas and identifications so that terrorist cells, this is what we're being told, I mean, it's very possible, are able to get proper documentation or what appears to be proper documentation so that they can get inside the United States. So there's a whole lot more going on than just drugs, it sounds like. And with the buildup of American forces in or near Venezuela, and all the talk back and forth, I think we need to be paying attention that this could be a new front opened up. The Trump administration has made it very clear that we are very willing to use lethal force against Venezuela. And the talk over the last few days, again, of changing the Department of Defense to Department of War, because we're not just a defense, we need to go on the offense. Pete Hegseth said yesterday that he hopes that the next time the cabinet meets that his title will be the Secretary of Department of War. So, you know, there's so many little flags indicating that this is not so much the peace president that a lot of people thought they were voting for. I think that wars will get started. I think this may be one of the next one. In fact, I think there's honestly a more likely chance that we will get involved in Venezuela sooner than probably over in China. I mean, of course, there's Iran. That looks like it's flaring up again. Israel says that they should be done with their Gaza campaign in the next couple of weeks. So I suspect if that holds true, then they said that they're going to shift focus to other areas, which is probably going to be Iran, because they've been up in Lebanon fighting Hezbollah and fighting Hamas there, so in Gaza Strip. So it'll probably be more of Yemen and moving towards Iran. So here we have again, we're back to America be involved in global conflict. And it's different this time. These seem to be a little bit more short-lived. And America is trying to do its best, or at least the two top powers, America and Russia and China, are trying to stay out of direct conflict. But I think that that's not possible. I think at some point it's going to shift from being proxy wars to being direct wars. And we need to get ready for that. This is, if you can't see the handwriting on the wall, I don't know what to tell you. This is a big power grab of global powers trying to shift and change the world. They know what's coming. They know. They know that the world is shifting and changing to everything digital. It's all a digital world that's being developed. And they, China, United States, they want to be the top dog. Nations like Russia and Ukraine and Europe and I know they're not a nation, North Korea, Iran, places like that, they know that they're not going to be the top of the food chain in the digital world, but a lot of them have resources and energy products that will supply the new energy, the new digital world. And so right now it's a big power play between the two top dogs. And folks like you and I are going to get caught in the middle, especially if you are not ready for this, because we're going to go through some pretty, I think, radical and violent changes over the next few years. Remember yesterday I talked about the AI data centers that's being developed. There's already been approximately 200, not all of them giant, but approximately 200 that have been built and have gone operational just in the last 3 years. And they estimate that between now and the year 2030, there'll be about another 15 to 1,800 just in the United States built. And right now, there are about 40 to 50 very large AI data processing centers being built. Hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars is being dumped into this. So when you start to put it all together, you start to see a little bit better of that picture. If you've been watching my channel for years, you've heard me talk many, many times about how it's like a gigantic mural on a wall. Think of going to a museum, an art museum or something that has a gigantic mural on the wall. If you walk over to that mural and you stand to where your nose is touching the wall, your perception of that mural is right here. And it's really hard to determine what you're looking at because you can only see here. But every time you take a step back, you're able to see a bigger picture and understand a little bit more of what you're looking at. And that's kind of the same way with this. When you just look at North Korea or Iran or oil or minerals or AI or Russia, Ukraine, China, all this kind of stuff, you just see that one area, American troops in American cities and, all that kind of stuff. When you start to step back and you start to look at the bigger picture, it all starts to come together and it becomes more and more clear of what we're looking at. We're watching a new system, not just here in America, but global, being developed. It's been going on for the last couple of decades at least. And that's why the 2030 is such a big year for them. They want it to be implemented by that time. And we're getting close to that. And so that's why we're seeing more and more stuff going. That's why things look like they're picking up speed, because they are. These elites, they've got to move a little faster to get closer to that time and that goal. And you and I need to be ready for that. Because like I just said, it's going to be very rapid and a very violent change to our system. They're trying to make it as smooth as possible, but it's going to be different. And we need to be prepared for that. That's why I encourage you to continually prepare yourself. Get yourself more self-sufficient. build relationships with people around you, learn skills, develop, the needed necessary skills to survive, tools, all of that kind of stuff, because things are going to start happening. They already have been, and they're going to continue over the next few years. So right now, it's time for you to get your houses in order. It's time for you to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.